30 years ago, many of you were glued to the TV screen waiting for the latest updates on the Branch Davidian standoff. That was, at the time, in its third week. A documentary began today on Netflix that takes a different perspective than many of the other documentaries or books you may have read. We recently sat down with the director of Waco, American Apocalypse, to see what sets this one apart. For better and mainly worse, the Branch Davidian standoff put Waco, Texas on the map. The world couldn't wait for the latest word, and most formed opinions right away about who was right and who was wrong. This latest documentary, Waco, An American Apocalypse, isn't about placing blame. Tiller Russell, the director, says it's about telling the stories of those who lived through it.
It was kind of a surreal, almost like intergalactic experience for me to be hearing these different human experiences from these very different vantage points, and those places that made me uncomfortable or provoked. I felt it was really important to include them in the series, and to include them in the series without judgment, so that people could draw their own conclusions.
As days drew into weeks, the standoff continued to make headlines around the world. Russell says it was the unique nature of this experience that makes it so fascinating even 30 years later.
Nothing like this had ever happened before. It was something the world had never seen, and it was happening in real time on national television, and there was limited amounts of information and conflicting information that came out, and all of America and much of the world is watching this unfold. But I think it's not until you have some distance from the events that people are able to look back on and reflect on what their experiences were.
Russell believes now's the perfect time for a comprehensive, non-judgmental telling of the story, which features never-before-seen footage retrieved from the KWTX archives to be shared with anyone who cares to watch.
Kind of moved and astonished by the footage because it put me there in a way that I had never seen before. And so the extensive cooperation and generosity, frankly, of KWTX to revisit this and share that material, and to share it, with, hey, take this and sculpt with it, do what tells the story best. I was, deeply honored and appreciated to have that material, and I felt it brought the story alive to me.
You can watch Waco, American Apocalypse at your leisure on Netflix.
Thank you, Gordon. I know you were here at that time, and it's going to be interesting to watch that documentary. I have it.
Well, I had a conversation with John McLemore, who was the other reporter who was at the scene that day, and we agreed this was the best documentary we've seen on the subject matter, and the fairest, and like he said, not judgmental, which is important.
Yeah, that means a lot. All right, thank you, Gordon. Coming up, a local tailor helps high school students find the prom dress of their dreams for free.
And our